Welcome to our season premiere of CRMprov. We're excited to have everybody with us. If you're new, let me start by introducing myself. I'm Mickey Baines, your host of the show. Now let me tell you about the show just as a reminder, or for those who haven't been here before. CRMprov is your go-to podcast for higher ed CRM. Now, we're not just going to cover technology, but we're going to dive deeply into all aspects of the strategies and tactics that you have to deploy to get the outcomes that you need. If you want to know more about what that means, well, we're going to dive in here to this first episode of the season. I've got one of the world's foremost experts on lead conversions. If you don't know Jay Schwedelson, then buckle in, because once we hear the bio, we're going to jump into content, and you're not going to want to miss this. Jay, you're the founder of subjectline.com. You have the world's leading free subject line rating tool, ranked in the top 1% of all websites worldwide. And having led subjectline.com through the testing of more than 15 million subject lines, you use your knowledge to guide organizations across multiple industries on how to implement impactful email marketing. You're the president and CEO of World Data Group. Data we talk about a lot. And that's a multi-brand marketing services company whose portfolio includes subjectline.com, Outcome Media, and Guru Events, which puts on the Guru Conference, which is the world's largest email marketing event. And folks, if you don't know about Guru, you need to learn about Guru. It's 100% free, 100% filled with great content, and almost 100% packed with attendees. Jay, you've got over 15,000 people that have signed up as of last week. There's only a couple weeks left before the event's here, November 8th and 9th. I can't wait. And folks watching, listening, neither should you. GuruConference.com. Go sign up. Jay, welcome to the show.
I want to hang out with you more often. That was incredible.
Thanks. Well, it's been about 2 months since I actually saw you last. We were up in Boston at Inbound. You spoke on more stages than the founders of HubSpot, which host the Inbound conference. I guess my first question is, have you recovered?
Yeah, the kind of third quarter of the year is conference time, at least in the world of marketing. So there's just a lot going on, and it's great to connect with everybody. It's great for everyone to be back in person, and just the energy is there. So events have been on fire, and it's exciting to be here with you.
Awesome. Well, we're going to talk Guru in just a moment, but given your background, I think I thought maybe it'd be worthwhile. Let's talk subject lines.
Yeah.
You've been studying them for a while. You know a lot about them. So when you think about subject lines, maybe what are the top two things we definitely need to know and think about for them?
Yeah. So in general, when you're talking about email marketing, I think most people that use email marketing in any capacity, if you're marketing to students or parents or whoever it may be, we think about things backwards. So like, what's going to be inside my email? Oh, what's the copy going to say? What are the images going to look like? All of these things. What are we promoting? And then the last piece, which we spend about 5 seconds on, we think about the subject line. And the reason I say this backwards is if we don't get the email open, right? If it doesn't get open, who really cares about what's inside the email? So even though it seems silly, we need to spend an inordinate amount of time thinking about what's going on in that subject line and what's going to work. So I think the two things that I would tell you to focus on is, number one, don't believe a lot of old information. There's a lot of old information out there that tells you that there are things like spam trigger words, right? There are words that you need to avoid. You can't say the word free in your subject line, okay? Or you can't use a question mark in your subject line, or you can't use an emoji in your subject line because there are things like spam trigger words, or that there are these tools that are looking for special characters in your subject line, and it will cause you to go to the junk folder or the spam folder. And that's just not true anymore. It was true 10 years ago before technology changed, but you don't go to the junk folder, the spam folder, because of the content, because of the words or symbols that you're putting in your subject line. And regardless of what you read online, a lot of that best practice information is very old and outdated. So I want to liberate everybody and write the way you want to write. Use the characters and symbols you want to use. That's not why you are or are not going to the junk folder. And then the second piece, since you asked for two, is nobody reads the whole subject line. They don't. We're all moving very fast. We're doing that like social scroll in our inboxes. So what we are doing is we're reading the first few characters, right? The first couple of words in the subject line. And so you really need to think about, what are you going to do to grab them fast. So little things that actually work, for example, if you start a subject line with a number, right? The 7 things you need to know about our university, okay? The 3 pitfalls to avoid when applying, right? It's very authoritative, it's very quick, it's very digestible. Starting your subject line with a number will lift your open rates, the percentage of people opening up your emails, by over 20%, right? Starting your subject line with a capitalized word, it stands out. Just capitalize the word today, right? If you're promoting some sort of online event, whatever you're doing, if you capitalize that first word or the first 2 words, it really stands out and it gets people to stop for that millisecond and it grabs their attention. So think about the first few characters, the first few words, and don't avoid things that you think are causing you to go to junk. It's just not the case anymore. So I know I could just ramble on forever, but that's what I would think about.
I think those are fascinating things. You reminded me of something I used to say in presentations years back about subject line specifically. When you're writing that email, when you're done, you need to track how much time it took you to write it. And that's the amount of time you need to put into the subject line. 50-50.
I love that.
Because, right, it's 50. I always call it my rule of 50-50, because just exactly what you said. You put all this time in building this email. If they don't open it, it's for naught. It's for nothing. You've got zilch out of it if they don't open that email.
Absolutely.
It is so important. And so
Yes.
that was that rule of 50-50. When you said this, like, I used to say that. I got to remember that.
That's right.
Do you even remember maybe what was the first thing you tested in the subject line? The first time you did a test, do you remember what that was?
The first thing I tested, which is why I talk about the first few characters, when I first really got into all this email stuff, everybody would talk about the length of your subject line. How many characters should you write in your subject line? 50 or under 60 or whatever the number was. And I would always be like, all right, I would try to get to that, that perfect length. And it was just wrong. It was taking me down the wrong path because it leads you to believe that you could write a full sentence and anybody cares. They really don't care about the second half, right? And so that first thing really kind of whacked me out. But then the other things I tested work really well is 2 things. One is question subject lines. Anything that you're sending out can be turned into a question. We as a society, we love questions and we love answers, especially in the education space, right? Like, why is Jeopardy so popular? We can't answer the questions, but we like the questions, we like to see the answers. And if you turn your email and whatever you're doing, you turn that subject line into a question. What do you need to know to get, in? Oh my God. Holy cow. Right? What do you need to know to have successful admission process? Whatever it is, right? You turn your email and turn in that subject line into a question, it significantly increases the people opening up the email. And then the other thing is leveraging suspense, which is sort of the same thing, like those 3 dots at the end of your subject line, the ellipsis, right? If you can say whatever it is you want to say, and then there are 3 more dots, right? Imagine your subject line says, just for people interested in the business school, ... And you're sending it to only people, whatever, or just for people looking to apply in September, ... Oh my God, that's me, right? That's my child, whatever it is. You are going to open that up. So using those 3 dots, using suspense, using that kind of inquisitive nature, that question type of curiosity, it does really, really, really well.
I should have been taking notes this whole time, writing it down, right? I think that's fantastic because we think about urgency. I get nervous when I see clients overhyping urgency in every email. At some point, they might tune you out, especially if you're trying to urge them to take an action they're not ready to take.
Sure.
Right? And so, but thinking about, that's a different way, what you've just described is a different way to talk urgency, because what I see in all emails, apply today. We need you to apply. Some version of apply. And some folks are ready, but there is also a true season for, especially around traditional age students, when that application comes in, those high school seniors, that October, November, December timeframe, majority of those applications are starting to really come in. And so there is a time, but if I'm thinking I'm trying to get them to apply earlier, for those who apply in September, ... I like that. I think that's a really good tip. And something to think about, a different way to twist and put something around urgency other than apply today.
Absolutely.
You might want them to apply, but that's not necessarily what they're looking for yet. And you've got to give them something else to grab that attention. And that
Exactly
definitely does it, especially when you have, it's almost like a Black Friday from a retail perspective. Every retailer's emailing every customer that they have to give deals in their hands. And there's only so many deals you can receive before you can take an action. You're not going to hit 15, 20 stores necessarily anymore. You're going to hit
Yeah.
1, 2, or 3.
Yeah, and
How
I
do you get
think that
across?
a lot of times I think the mistake we make, it's easy to do marketing when you have a date that you're working towards, right? Like the application deadline is this date, and you're going to lead into that date, and your marketing leads into that. That's easy because you gotta land the plane. You gotta get it right there. It's that other gap of time where you don't have, that crazy real urgency that you want to build that interest, and build that excitement. And really the best way to do that is put yourself in the shoes of the recipient. It's not what's in it for you. Obviously, you want them to apply. You want to check all this stuff out. But at that moment, what is in it for them? What are the concerns that they have? And hitting those concerns head on, right? So it's saying to them what you need to know if you're going to apply in September. Oh my God, that's what I'm thinking about. I am going to be applying in September. What do I need to know? Right? Putting
Yep.
yourself in their mind and saying, okay, what exactly are they thinking? And I'm going to say that specific thing because that's what's going to get the interest.
Yep. I really like it. So we're segueing a little bit into email content.
Yeah.
You're not just focused on subject lines.
Right.
You look at email in general. So you gave us 2 things for subject lines.
Right.
What about once we get inside that email, we get someone to open it? What are 2 things we need to know?
Yeah, I think that marketers in general don't look at every little thing, right? You're focused on what is the paragraph that I'm writing going to say, and this, that, what is the image? But here's a few little things that can radically change the performance of your campaigns. First off, the buttons, the actual buttons that people are clicking through on, and they're going to go to your destination page. Let's say you're trying to get them to show up for some sort of event or something like that. Your button probably says something like register because that's what you want them to do. But when your call to action buttons are actually written in first person, it lifts click through rates by over 20%. What do I mean by that? Instead of saying register, saying, yes, I can't wait, or yes, count me in, right? All of a sudden, and it's in the subconscious, no one's really excited, but in the subconscious, they're like, oh, yeah, that's what I'm interested in. When you write the call to action buttons in a first person, and the call to action buttons can be any length, they don't need to be one word, right? It generates that excitement. It gets people one step closer to the thing that they're interested in. When you say register, it's borderline rude. It's like you're telling them to do something. Same thing like the word download. Right? Instead of download, it's, get my free content or get my free research report, whatever it is, get them excited. So the call to action buttons are one piece. Another piece is adding a PS to your emails. The way we read emails is we don't really read them. We open them up, we look at the headline, maybe a word or two, and then we skip down to the bottom. If you add a PS to your emails, okay, and you put the offer in there with another link, we see click-through rates increase by over 10% just by adding a PS with that offer link, back in there, which is so easy to do because that's how we scan emails. And then the last piece is thinking about everything in your message. So, for example, about 1 in 5 clicks in your email that you send out, 20% of your clicks will actually be on the logo within your message, right? Now, if you're sending out an email and you hope that they register for something, sign up for something, do something, I would say the overwhelming majority of marketers, their logo is clicking to their homepage, right, of their university, of their site, or whatever. Once they go there, they are lost. They can't figure out how to sign up.
You're
They're
over.
lost.
Yep.
They're gone, right? So think about, do you want to send 1 in 5 clicks to the destination page to get more registrants, more interest, more whatever? Or do you want to send them off into wherever land and lose them? So I would really think about all of these little things.
Fantastic. Oh, that's great, Jay. I love that because it happens. And I can tell you if I get a lot of emails from schools, right? I look at what folks are sending out and that logo's in 8 out of 10 of them. And if I click that, it's going right to the homepage, which you're exactly right that because it's going to take you to that page and you'll never find the event.
Never.
At all.
No.
Unless you're seasoned and 16-year-olds, parents of 16-year-olds, unless those parents work in higher ed, don't know. They're not seasoned. They're not going to know where to go. So you're absolutely right. So let's talk about events.
Okay.
You've got Guru coming up, huge event.
Yeah.
Um, virtual event. Let's be sure it's November
Yes.
8th and 9th is virtual. When I
Yes.
think about virtual events, my biggest fear is I have a lot of people sign up. Maybe I get 1,000 people sign up. I won't have 15,000 like you have, but I might get 1,000 and then only 50 show.
Yeah. That's a
Scares
problem.
the bejesus out of me. How do you get
Yeah.
everybody to show? I guess, well, let me back up. First question, how do you get 15,000 people or 16, 17, however it
Yeah.
ends up with to actually find and show up for that event? And then how do you get so many people to show?
So, first of all, I guess there's really two pieces. How do we get people excited about what we're doing? Is we try to make sure that it seems like it's not going to be torture, right? That it's going to be some version of enjoyable, right? So
Yep.
we present, hey, yeah, you're going to get everything out of this that you want to, but we're also going to do this fun thing over here. Now, I don't know that you could do this on some of the university events, whatever. So yes, we are doing a hot wing chicken challenge. We're doing TikTok dancing. We're doing all sorts of stuff. Can you do that in the world of universities? Probably not. But can you, right, say, okay, we're going to tell you all about how to apply, but then we're going to also tell you about the most fun events that we have all year on campus, right? And we're going to do it in a fun way. You know, you're going to have your mascot come on screen and you're going to have one of the football players there or whatever it is, where you're sharing this image of, hey, here's the important stuff you need to know, and then we're going to do this fun stuff over here. So that's what makes things exciting. But then how do you get people to really show up? And I think this is where most marketers, especially in the education space, kind of fail. They think that they're sending too much email. They think that they're annoying people. And that couldn't be further from the truth. Nobody's paying attention to what you're doing. Nobody actually cares about what you all are doing, right? So when you have an event, right, let's say you're doing some sort of webinar of some kind, you need to, leading up to that event, send so much reminder email, it is unbelievable. Okay. So 48 hours from the thing, okay, you're sending at least one email on that 48 hour. Then 24 hours, you're sending two emails. And then the day of, let's say your event is at 2 p.m., I'm sending one at 8 a.m., I'm sending one at 12 p.m., and I'm sending one 30 minutes before. Okay, I'm sending three leading a 2 p.m. event saying 1 hour, it's in 1 hour. Because here's why. Nobody remembers. I don't care if it's on their calendar. They don't remember. 48 hours, okay, maybe get some. 24 hours, okay. The day of, they're like, oh my God, it's the thing at this university. I don't want to miss it. Blah, 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 blah. And that is how you increase your show up rates and saying in the subject line, this starts in 30 minutes. Okay. And you have to understand that it's okay if some people remove themselves. They're not a fit for your university because if they're removing themselves, they're really not that interested. But if you send out that many emails, you're going to get a huge show up rate, higher conversion numbers. So just don't be shy.
Yep. I love it. So that's basically 6 messages within 48 hours, which
Yeah,
I agree. People might be like, oh my gosh, I'm going to really annoy them. But I think that's an excellent point. It's not that you're annoying them. They just don't pay attention or they're not going to remember.
absolutely right.
So let me deviating a little bit when we think about the medium. So we're talking email. Do you ever blend email and SMS when you think about those 6 messages?
Yeah. So SMS is phenomenal and it works incredibly well. In often cases, it will work better than email. Here's the good and the bad about SMS. For the overwhelming majority of people, it is a super subset of your database, right?
Yep.
We'd all love to have a zillion, everybody opted in perfectly, and you have everyone's cell numbers and all that different type of stuff. But you don't. You have a fraction of your database where you have the rights to message people via SMS. Where you do, absolutely go for it, right? It will work incredibly well, and you should be aggressively trying to collect that and grow that base. But you're talking about apples and garbage cans just because you just don't have the coverage,
Yep.
right, that you want, unfortunately.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so what? And you can tell me if this is a really bad plan in front of everyone here. I'm okay with that. So that because I agree with you. Like we just don't have everybody's, and so typically what we do is okay. Let's pick out. Let's say we got 6 messages. I want to have
Yeah.
2 of them be an SMS, and we're going to pick those to be SMS. And we just if SMS or our cell number field is null, then send this email instead. As a way to support that, so that it's still 6 messages. 2 of them are cell, 4 of them are emails, or if I don't have your cell, then it's 6 emails.
Yeah. So not to not agree with you, but
No, it's
you
okay.
are. Yeah, no. So I think in that scenario, what you're really assuming is the person's like, oh, they're getting the SMS, so we shouldn't send them the email because we're
Yep,
hitting them in one spot. I don't, I come from the angle of no, hit them in both spots
yep,
because the odds are so the SMS crew is a subset, right? Then there's going to be a subset of people that actually saw the message or saw the email, and there's going to be a further subset of that Venn diagram that saw both.
yep,
Okay, and it's going to be a very, 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 very small percentage. And so I'm in the camp of total awareness. So I would send those SMS messages, but I would operate as if you didn't and send everybody the emails too, because there's really not a lot of downside, right? There's going to be. Here's the thing: what we normally do and how we fail. You may get by doing all the things I'm saying. You may get one or two of these what I call nasty grams. You guys are hitting me from everywhere. It's so annoying. I was thinking about your university, but I'm never going to have my child go there because this is just too much and you're inundating me. And so, what do? That might get sent to you and it circulates around your department and blah, blah, blah. And then what do we do as marketers? We react like, oh no, look, we're doing too much. We got this one email from this one person that's really,
yep,
really upset. Let's slow down all of our marketing efforts. And we let the loudest voice in the room dictate our marketing efforts, which is ridiculous. That person's having a bad day. That person's kid didn't get into the school they wanted to get into. Who knows what's going on? Okay.
yep.
But the benefit that you get from having a more aggressive view on your marketing, it totally is so much bigger and so much more valuable than that one person. So I know that that's not the most touchy feely thing to say, but it's the reality of how you really generate this engagement, this interest, and this excitement is by being everywhere.
Yes, and you sold me. I'm in. Uh, we got about 50 campaigns we got to go change after
Right.
we wrap this. So, uh, speaking of that, I think that's a great starting point. We've got great content here. You've talked subject lines, you've talked email content, we've talked conversion and getting people to show up for events. I think that's fantastic. Um, don't forget, speaking of events, folks, don't forget Guru Conference coming up November 8, 9. Last year you had Damon John. This year you've got Martha Stewart. So when
Yes.
I say it's packed of content, it's not all these people you never heard of. These are big names, people who know the world of marketing, and they're going to be out there and sharing
And
great
it's free.
ideas. And it's free, 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 free. Can't
Yeah.
forget that part. So, Jay, thank you so much for carving out a little time to chat with us and share this great information. I'm really appreciative to have you here, and I can't wait to see you in a couple weeks at Guru.
Awesome. Thanks for having me. This is a blast. And let's connect. Who's ever listening on LinkedIn and share a lot of stuff there. And this is awesome stuff. Thanks, Mickey.
Oh, thank you. You're right, Jay. Don't find Jay on LinkedIn. He posts great content every day. And you know I'm engaged with it. You see my likes, I make
I
comments
appreciate
because
you.
I find useful information all the time. So
Thank you.
find Jay on LinkedIn. Thank you all for listening. I appreciate it. We look forward to seeing you back for our next episode on CRMprov. I'm your host, Mickey Baines. Thank you for joining me. Find my record button. Stop. There we go.